topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Draw me close to you, never let me go, and lay it all down again, to hear you say that I'm your friend.
Good day. My name is the Almighty Creator desires a deep personal relationship with you. My name is James Robertson. I'm a researcher, publisher, and teacher regarding the matters and truths of the Almighty Creator, whose true name is Yah, the eternally self-existing. I've been actively serving him since 1993, over 31 years. If you're not actively serving Yah, then by default you're serving Satan. My objective is to show you how you can make a big difference on earth and qualify for a position of high esteem in heaven for eternity. It's important to understand that as a believer, just being good is not the point. It's relationship with Yah that counts. Without this, you will be in a very unpleasant place in heaven with no way out. My aim is to show you how to get close. If you're a good person without a clear relationship with Yah, then you're in a spiritual no man's land and will not enter heaven when you die. The Creator has said regarding unbelievers, "Why would I want someone to spend eternity with me when they do not believe I exist?" Yah is calling everybody on the planet to be involved and serve him and help him to have victory over Satan. My goal is to show you how to do this. Fundamentally, we each need to learn to see things on earth from Yah's perspective, and my aim is to teach you how to do that. Please visit my website at www.endtimeissueministries.org or email me on james@endtimeissueministries.org. I'd love to hear from you. Today we're going to discuss part 1 of the Torah Dilemma. What exactly is Torah, the law of Yah? So the overview: there's considerable difference of opinion with regard to the law that was given by Moses, that has been fulfilled by Yahooshua, versus the so-called Torah that it is said is still applicable, versus the law that Yah said he will write in the hearts of true believers. This broadcast discusses the various conflicting interpretations and sets out my understanding of what is correct. Finally, we will look at the state of your relationship with the Almighty Creator. So this is based on the article 2024-1204, the Torah Dilemma. What exactly is Torah? Over a number of years, I've had contact with various Messianic people who see themselves as Torah observant and who correctly see Yahooshua, incorrectly call Jesus, as Messiah, the anointed one who was to come. The question that arises is whether Torah observance, as in formal study of texts and observance of text, is relevant in this age. In saying this, while I've read the so-called Old Testament from Bereshith, Genesis to Malachi, over 20 times since I came to serve Father intensely, Father has never impressed on me that I should become observant of some of these books at any intellectual or works level. Further, in 2001, Yah clearly stated to me that the Bible is not his word, contains errors, and is only about 2.5% inspired. So building too much on the Bible, whether the first 5 books of the Bible or the entire Bible, versus being led by the Spirit, is problematic. I want to start off by saying that the Old Covenant was fulfilled through the offering of Yahooshua. In considering this topic, it is vital to understand that Yahooshua fundamentally changed the situation regarding the Torah. In the book of Matthew 27, chapter 27, verses 45 to 53, Yahooshua, it's written, "Now from the 6th hour until the 9th hour, there was darkness over all the land. And about the 9th hour, Yahooshua cried out with a loud voice, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani, that is, my beloved mighty one, why have you forsaken me?" Some of those who stood there when they heard that said, "This man is calling for Elijah." Immediately took one of them and ran and took a sponge, filled it with sour wine and put it on a reed and offered to him to drink. The rest said, "Let him alone. Let us see if Elijah will come to save him." Now, Eli is correctly translated, not God, but beloved mighty one, or in this case, my darling. And Yeshua cried out again with a loud voice and yielded up his spirit. And then behold, the veil of, this is so important, folks, the veil of the temple was torn in two from top to bottom, and the earthquake and the rocks were split, and the graves were opened, and many bodies of the saints who had fallen asleep were raised. And coming out of the graves after his resurrection, they went into the holy city and appeared to many. This is confirmed in Mark 15, verses 33 to 38. There are a number of key points here. See the article, The Miraculous Planning of the Death of Yeshua, Where, How, and What, for an elaboration of many of these points. Number one, the rocks were rent, allowing the blood and water that flowed from the side of Yeshua when his side was pierced with a spear to flow down onto the mercy seat of the Ark of the Covenant, which had been hidden there by Jeremiah in 586 BC and was discovered by Ron Wyatt in 1982. Refer to the article on the miracle of Yeshua's death. Folks, this is really important. This is information that was not available at the time that Yeshua died, or at any time after he died, through to 1982. When the Babylonians were about to overrun Jerusalem, Yahoo took the Ark of the Covenant and hid it in a cave in a series of tunnels outside the wall of Jerusalem. So they went down the tunnel, out of the temple, and then along and outside, and hid the Ark of the Covenant there, exactly under the cliff called Golgotha. Looked like a skull, and exactly where Yeshua was executed. So his blood fell onto the mercy seat of the Ark of the Covenant, and that is absolutely pivotal in understanding what Yeshua accomplished, because when his blood fell on the mercy seat, it inducted a new high priest, it provided a new offering for sin, and it consummated a new covenant. I can't stress that enough, folks. You need to really get that point. Then the veil of the temple was torn from top to bottom. So it was torn like that, thereby revealing that the most set-apart place, the Holy of Holies, was empty, that the Ark of the Covenant was not there, so the high priest was a fraud, and the offering for atonement of sin was invalid. It's important to note that it was torn from top to bottom, showing it was not done by human beings. Thus, Yah opened the way to relationship with him to all believers. Again, this is vital to understand in the context of this discussion regarding Torah. I've read a report that the veil was woven, and that they think it was about 3 inches thick, about 75 millimeters. So basically impossible for a human being to tear. Would have had to been cut, and it would have been very difficult to cut. And this is one of the signs that Yah gave to the masses and the high priests and the Pharisees and the scribes and the Sadducees to show that Yeshua was the anointed one who was to come, the Messiah. And Messiah is again a meaningless word. It's derived from the Hebrew Masach, which means anointed. He was anointed with the Spirit of Yah. He was the anointed one that Daniel foretold would come. And he fulfilled everything that was written about him. But they didn't understand it because they were stuck on their head learning and their head interpretation of what the Torah said, instead of being sensitive in the spirit and seeing that a lot of it was metaphor and parallel. Note also that the Spirit of Yah had to leave Yeshua in order for him to die. So where Yeshua cries out, sorry, I've got it wrong, cries out, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani, my mighty one, or my beloved mighty one, or my darling, why have you forsaken me? Yah had to take his spirit off Yeshua, because Yeshua was so filled with the Spirit of Yah, the set-apart Spirit of Yah, the Holy Spirit, that he couldn't die. He was hanging there in agony, and the only way that he could pass was for Yah to remove his spirit from him. And that's something that even Yeshua did not know was going to happen. It's so important to understand that Yeshua was a human being, a man filled with the Spirit of Yah. It was the Spirit of Yah that performed the miracles, that had him walk on water, turn water into wine, feed the 5,000, raise the dead, heal the sick. So if you're believing that Jesus is God, I encourage you to let go of that. Jesus, Yeshua, was a man. He was 100% of a man. This miracle by which he was created was less of a miracle than the miracle of creation of Chava, Eve, from Adam's rib, and the creation of Adam from the dust of the earth. And the Spirit came on him when he was immersed by Yahooshua, the immerser, and had left him as he was about to die, so that he could die. Note also that since the 2 tablets of stone with the 10 words, the 10 commandments, were in the Ark of the Covenant, which was missing from the time of Yirmiyahu, this thereby opened the way for Yah the right to write the commandments on the hearts of believers. This passage is profoundly important to this discussion regarding the meaning of Torah and the relevance of Torah observance in the current age. And then, if you're a Torah observant person, I apologize in advance, but I have to say this to you. Torah keepers killed Yeshua. In considering the life and death of Yeshua, it is also vital to understand that the people who called for the death of Yeshua misinterpreted the Torah as they had it such that those who were strictly Torah observant were responsible for the death of Yeshua, thereby terminating the terms of the covenant through Moses, and opening the way of the new covenant through Yahooshua. Thus, Yah rejected Torah observance in the strict intellectual sense when Yahooshua died. The basic approach, as far as I'm able to determine, about so-called Torah observant modern believers, messianic believers, people who are Torah observant but they believe that Yahooshua was the Messiah, is that you're trying to emulate what the people were doing who killed Yeshua. And I beg you to really just meditate on that. You can check it out for yourself. Read the 4 books of good news, the 4 Gospels. It was the Torah observant people who called for Yeshua's death, who detained him, who beat him, who mocked him, and who insisted that he was executed. So you've got to be very, very careful about what you take on from the people of that age. Then about Torah observance. Most of those who practice Torah observance today subscribe to the view that the Torah relates to the 5 so-called books of Moshe, the books of Moses. Bereshith, commonly called Genesis, Shemoth, commonly called Exodus, Wa'ikra, commonly called Leviticus, and Bamidbar, commonly called Numbers, and Deborim, commonly called Deuteronomy. And again, we see here that the English words bear no resemblance, in many cases, to the Hebrew, which I have to say to you is a little bit silly, since the book was written in Hebrew. Why do we want to just completely distance ourselves from the religion that was the source of all this? So I'll henceforth refer to these as the 5 books. They're not, well, some of these people believe that the 5 books were all written by Moshe before he died, including the portion at the end of Deuteronomy, which describes the death of Moshe and what happened immediately thereafter. So they believe that Yah dictated the books to Moshe before he died, and Moshe just lived out a preordained script. Note that the above does not mean that what I'm saying, that people should not read the 5 books or the Bible diligently a few times and take notes and ask questions. I am saying that deep intellectual study of the 5 books or the Bible as a whole is not appropriate and is in fact damaging. And particularly that memorizing the 5 books or the Bible or any other book, including the Quran, is totally off the mark. Folks, Father wants a relationship with us, with each one of us. He wants a relationship with you. Just put yourself in his situation. You get married, and it doesn't matter which way around it goes, but let's just take it as a man and a woman. So the man and the woman get married, and the wife had a recording made, a video of the marriage ceremony, and she's had it transcribed, and it's a little 10 or 20 page little booklet. And every night when they go to bed, she takes out the booklet and reads it. And the husband's lying there next to her saying, "My darling, can we make love? Can we cuddle a bit?" And she says, no, I have to study the Torah. I hope I'm getting my point across. Yah did not create us to have a relationship with a book, whichever book we're talking about, because the Muslims do this with the Quran, the Jews do it with the Torah, the Christians do it with the Bible and all the 5 books. Yah did not create us to have an intellectual relationship with a book. He created us to have a deep, personal, spiritual relationship with him, to be filled with his spirit, and to know him, and to hear him, and to speak to him. So you have a choice. You can spend hours and hours and hours doing whatever, Torah portions or Bible study or whatever. Or you can spend that time worshiping and praying, making love to Father. I hope I'm getting my point across. Then there's the 613 mitzvot. Some of the people mentioned above, the most strictly Torah observant, also observed the 613 mitzvot or law, 613 laws deduced from the Torah by Jewish rabbis, and are taught as a strict basis for getting into right standing with Yah. There's a link on the articles on the website, and there's a link there to an example. It will be apparent that such a large number of rules requires substantial intellectual effort in order to engage, understand, and apply with the consequence that those who take on this discipline are likely to be intellectually engaged with the book and not in tune with your spirit. I've come across people who say that you can't get close to Father unless you're keeping all of the 613 mitzvot and everything that's in the first 5 books. I think it's really sad. So coming back to what I've just said about the Torah and the 613 mitzvot, this is what Yeshua was referring to in Matthew 23:4. Speaking of the Torah observant leaders, the scribes, etc., he said, "For they bind heavy burdens hard to bear, and lay them on men's shoulders, but they themselves will not move them with one of their fingers. In my over 31 years of being led by the Spirit of Yah, Yah has strenuously kept me from having anything to do with the 613 mitzvot, bar being aware of their existence. He will not even let me read them. Years ago, I said, Father, please help me to know your heart. I've had situations where I've felt his intense anger with situations. I've had other situations where I've felt his intense grief. And there's other things, like the 613, that he just won't let me read. Why? Because it's not important to him. So wherever you are on the continuum of totally Spirit-led through to Torah observant, Bible observant, 613 mitzvot observant, Yah wants a relationship. He does not want you slavishly working according to rules. In considering what follows, keep in mind Hosea 4:6. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Because you have rejected knowledge, I also will reject you from being a priest for me. Because you've forgotten Torah, the law of your mighty one, or God, I also will forget your children. This paves the way for the coming of Yahooshua and the new covenant. Those who champion Torah observance may take this as an injunction to study more deeply, where in fact it is challenging people to return to deep knowledge and experience of the Almighty Creator himself. And then a bit of an aside to this. Yah is lonely and making adjustments. Notice also that in the historical context, Yah is lonely and is working with what he has to work with regarding human beings, which are increasingly weak and pathetic. The people today are far weaker spiritually than they were 3,600 years ago at the time of Moses. As a consequence, Yah has had to substantially and progressively redefine how he works with human beings. These adjustments continue to today. In considering the question of Torah in the present age, it is important to evaluate exactly what is applicable today. I published an article a few days ago on have compassion on Yah for the extent to which his plans have been crippled. All through the ages, Yah has come up with plans, and the people responsible for executing on those plans have been disobedient, self-willed, and messed them up. Adam ate the forbidden fruit. Noah allowed Ham and Japheth, who were unbelievers, to survive the flood in the boat. Noah got drunk and cursed Canaan, putting in place a curse that holds billions of people in Africa in poverty. And so on, and so on, and so on, and so on. And Father is just, he's so tired of making plans and having them come to naught. I've done stupid things in my own life. I recently, with my one wife, got into a destructive space, divided the house, lost a big contract, sabotaged a whole lot of things that I could have been doing right now, struggling to dig myself out of the hole that I dug myself into. Yah is lonely. He wants friends. He wants companions. He wants people to talk to him. I managed still to talk to him to a point, but in making the mistake that I've just told about, I didn't consult him. I went ahead and did what I thought was right, and it was a mess. So let's talk about Torah in the hearts. Hebrews chapter 10 verse 16 states, "This is the covenant that I will make with them after those days, says Yah, the eternally self-existing, incorrectly the Lord. I will put my laws into their hearts, and in their minds I will write them." The question arises, which laws are being referred to? It turns out that Hebrews 10:16 is quoting Yirmiyahu, incorrectly Jeremiah 31:33. "But this is the covenant I will make with the house of Israel after those days, declares Yah, the eternally self-existing. I will put my law in their minds, and I will inscribe it on their hearts, and I will be their mighty one, and they will be my people." To a point, this also references Ezekiel 36:26-27. "I will give you a new heart and put a new spirit within you. I will remove your heart of stone and give you a heart of flesh. And I will put my spirit within you and cause you to walk in my statutes and to carefully observe my ordinances." Now notice here, we have the laws, we have the statutes, and we have the ordinances. Then Abram and the Torah, Genesis 26:5. "Because that Abram hath hearkened to my voice and keepeth my charge, my commandments, my statutes, and my Torah," or often interpreted laws, translated laws. Clearly, there's much in addition to the Torah in the way of Yah's charge, Yah's commandments, and Yah's statutes, in addition to Yah's Torah. So the Torah itself is apparently quite narrowly defined. Note also that Abraham had the Torah over 500 years before Moshe. So the Torah is clearly not the 5 books, which almost entirely deal with the situation after Abraham. Folks, it's important to be discerning here. I have been at some level conscious of this issue for very many years, but I've skirted around it. I've not really thought it was that important. And then some weeks ago, I engaged with a group of people who were Torah observant, and I met with a man who was Torah observant, and a few other things sort of got my attention. And so I started to pray and seek, and this article is the result. One of the people I met with quoted this Genesis 26:5. Said, look, the Torah was there. Apparently oblivious to the fact that the Torah per Genesis 26:5 existed 500 years before Moshe, 500 years before the 5 books. So the Torah therefore cannot be the 5 books. It's certainly not the whole Jewish Bible. It's certainly not the whole Protestant Bible. And it's certainly not the whole body of Jewish teaching. So what is the Torah? Going back to Yirmiyahu 31:33 in the Interlinear Bible, we find that the word translated law is Strong's number 8451, Torah. So Hebrews 10:16 states, "This is the covenant that I will make with them after those days, says Yah, the eternally self-existing. I will put my Torah into their hearts, and in their minds I will write them." So Hebrews 10:16 is referring to Torah. This highlights the question of what is the Torah, the law, being referred to here. Strong's lexicon, which is cited in Appendix A to the article on which this is based, elaborates. In Appendix B lists a few verses where Torah occurs, and that article is available on the website. So Yah said, "I will put my Torah in their hearts." So if you believe that the Torah is the 5 books, then he's going to put the 5 books in your heart and in your mind, which means you better do some serious studying, I think. From these texts, we see a strong emphasis from the text that I just quoted that are in the appendix. We see a strong emphasis on the Torah being the 5 books as defined. But we also see an alternative interpretation that the Torah comprises the entire body of Jewish teaching. Others say it includes all of the Old Testament. Others say Torah encompasses the entire Christian Bible, without specifying which Bible version they're referring to. The Standard Protestant with 66 books, the Catholic with Apocrypha, the Ethiopian with 88 books, and then there's an independent collection of Apocrypha with 54 books, and so on. But I want to suggest to you that I don't think there's any way that Yah wants to put the Bible in your heart. After all, he said to me many, many years ago, and he's verified it and confirmed it and shown me clearly that the Bible is not the Word of God. It contains errors, and it's about 2.5% inspired. So clearly, he's not putting the Bible into people's hearts. Even if we're just talking about the Jewish Bible, the Old Testament, the prophets, Proverbs, Psalms, etc., writings. On the basis that Yah says that the Bible is not his word, I have to conclude that the 5 books are also not his word. They're part of the Bible, aren't they? So he's not going to put the 5 books in your heart either. So that leaves us with a bit of a quandary, doesn't it? If you're Torah observant, whatever that means to you, I ask you to seriously consider the possibility that Torah observance fell away at the very latest when Yahooshua died. And I'm going to develop that line of thought in more detail next week, when I will pick this up and carry it through to conclusion. You may be picking up what I'm thinking, but I'm not going to go there now. I want to keep you guessing. I want you to get on your knees and say, Father, what is it that James is about to say about this? What is it that I should believe about the Torah that's in my heart, if you're a true believer and you're filled with the Spirit of Yah? Think about it. Because I'm going to suggest to you at the end of next week's session that it's actually pretty crystal clear and pretty evident what the Torah is that's written in our hearts. And I will elaborate on that from the point of view of being Spirit-led. I come back to my point about Yah's disappointment and Yah having to change. At the time of Moshe, he really thought that having the tabernacle and the priests and everything would work. Otherwise, he wouldn't have done it. A lot of trouble. And it didn't work. So he had to send Yahooshua. And in fact, it was so apparent that it wasn't working, that it was apparent that it wasn't working by the time of the Babylonian invasion. It's no good putting blinkers on and reading a book that's 3,500 years old and transposing it into the current age without some careful thought, critical thought. Folks, that's all I've got time for today. I hope I've given you something to chew on. Tough steak, perhaps. But I look forward to taking this further with you next week. Thank you. So, prayer. If you're a committed Torah keeper or in other ways conflicted by what I've shared, I suggest you pray along the following lines. Father Yah, I ask for wisdom, understanding, and revelation to truly understand the Torah or law that Yahooshua said would not pass away. I ask you to show me the Torah that you've written on my heart. I ask you to give me a soft heart that is sensitive to your leading. I thank you that you fill me with your Spirit and guide me. Amen. There's much more that you could pray, and I'm sure you will pray, and it's never my intention to force on you some prescribed little prayer to recite without thinking. Engage your brain. Look at what I said that's challenged you. Take it to Father. Get on your knees. If necessary, fast for 3 days or fast for 7 days. I'll be on the air in a week's time, unless something goes wrong, which hopefully it won't. So you could start today on a 7-day fast, seeking revelation, seeking truth, seeking to know what is truth. If you've never done a fast, or if you've never fasted for truth, then this would be a good place to start, a good time to start. If you don't have a relationship with Father, I'll take you through a prayer there in a moment. So I'd like to wrap up by asking you, what is the state of your relationship with the Almighty Creator? I'd like to ask you to critically examine where you are relative to Him today. Do you talk to Him constantly throughout the day and allow Him to lead you in every possible way? Do you worship Him at every opportunity? Have you clearly and unambiguously heard Him call you friend? If not, you're failing in your life purpose and will be bitterly disappointed when you die. If you have now come to belief, please pray along the following lines. Father Yah, I come to you in the name of Yahooshua. I now believe that you exist. I confess my sin of unbelief, and I repent of my unbelief, and I ask for you to forgive me. I now commit my life to you, and I ask you to take me by the hand and lead me into deep relationship with you. I ask you to fill me with your Spirit and to change me and help me to become the person you want me to become. I ask you to help me to find people who can help me and help me find books, websites, articles, and other resources that will help me. I ask you to show me what I can do to actively serve you and lead others to deep personal relationship with you. I thank you for saving me. There's a period of 8 days from sincerely coming to belief for the first time, during which there is extreme grace to help you. See the article Critical Actions on First Belief for actions you should take immediately. And then drop me an email at james@endtimeissueministries.org so I can help you, pray with you, counsel you, etc. In closing, thank you for listening. Please send me your questions to james@endtimeissueministries.org. Please email me to join the mailing list at james@endtimeissueministries.org. If you decide to draw close to the Almighty, please let me know, and we can connect by Skype, Zoom, Teams, email, WhatsApp, or telephone so that I can help you with your journey. I hope to connect with you again next week when I will continue to explore how to become a friend of the Creator. Work with me to make a way for Yahooshua to return in victory at the end of the millennium and make his enemies his footstool. Folks, fundamentally, right back at the beginning, millions, maybe billions of years ago. I think millions. Yah was lonely. It's that simple. And he decided that he would create beings that were intelligent, that had the ability to think for themselves, that could make decisions, that were rational, that we could become his friends, that he could do things with, that he could talk to. And so he set about creating matter, and then he created the universe, and then he created our solar system, and then he created planet Earth, and then he created the plants and the animals, and finally he created us. For one reason and for one reason only, so that we might become friends. And today there is almost nobody who even begins to look like a friend. He's called me friend way back in 2001, and he's told me I'm still his friend. And it boggles my mind sometimes because I'm such a useless friend. I forget to ask him about things like the situation I spoke about earlier. But I'm doing my best to serve him and to bring others closer to him. So I encourage you. It doesn't matter if you're African, Asian, Indian, European, whatever, rich or poor, educated, uneducated, tall or short, thin or fat. It doesn't matter who you are, Satanist, Christian, Muslim, Jew, whatever, Buddhist, Confucius. It doesn't matter. He wants you to become his friend. Just step out and ask him to become you, to save you and to become his friend. The prayer that I just went through a minute ago. So for those of you who've been on the channel for a while, I guess you're going to say good night. For those of you here who the first or second time, please hang on. I've got some information to share with you. For those who are leaving, cheers. In closing, who am I? James Robertson. I have a doctorate in engineering and I'm a retired military commander, and now work as a management consultant. I have over 31 years' experience of actively seeking to draw close to the Almighty, following a dramatic encounter with him on the 12th of March 1993, when he spoke to me audibly in a locked room and I knew for certain that he was real. In learning about Father, I applied my deep-seated aversion to failure born out of an accident in early childhood, coupled to my engineering and military training of rigor and preventing failure, to my seeking of knowledge about Father. This journey led to numerous supernatural experiences, prayers answered, and clear communication with the Creator. It forms the basis for what I teach in these programs. See the video, Why Seek Relationship, for an overview of what I believe. Please visit my website at www.endtimeissueministries.org. ETI version of the Bible with correction of translation errors is on the ETI Bible version page. For recordings of nearly all of the teachings broadcast so far, search on Google for Relationship with Creator Radio or go to the website relationshipwithcreatorradio.com. Transcripts are on the Transcripts of Broadcast page. Books with teachings from 1998 till May 2019 are on the Books for Printing page. I publish regular email articles. Email me on james@endtimeissueministries.org to be added to the list or to seek counsel or prayer or give me feedback. Visit the website and use the Google search, article keyword cloud, table of contents, and article search to locate the information you're looking for. Folks, that's all I've got time for. It's been great having you with me, and I want to say good night. Go well.
Father, I come to you, lifting up my hands. By your grace I stand, just because you love me. I know your favor.
Hi, I'm James Robertson. I want to ask you whether you have a clear understanding of the Torah or law that Yahooshua, Jesus, said would not pass away, and conversely, the Torah or law which the Almighty Creator said he would write in our hearts. If you're not sure, then please listen to my broadcast on w4cy.com internet radio or talk4tv.com internet TV. Also visit my website at www.endtimeissueministries.org and also look at back issues of my broadcasts on www.relationshipwithcreatorradio.com. You can email me on james@endtimeissueministries.org to find out more. I look forward to hearing from you. Thanks so much.